Alright, guys and girls, this is jerningham here. It says the army to shrink to the smallest size seen since the 1700s. New defence plan. Is that going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a bad thing? If the army shrinks, what happens? Could more problems happen, or could it get better? How are they going to stop the terrorists from coming in, more killings and stuff, and other things, unless they're trying to build up the army? I don't know what they're doing in this video that we're going to be watching, but we're going to be showing you a bit of this on the news. It's going to be quite a long video, so yeah, let's see what happens. It could be better, it could be worse.
That is why we put at the heart of the Defence Command paper the mission to seek out and to understand future threats and to invest in the capabilities needed so that we can defeat them. Because in defence, it is too tempting to use the shield of sentimentality to protect previous battle-winning but now outdated capabilities. Such sentimentality, when coupled with over-ambition and under-resourcing, leads to even harder consequences down the line. It risks the lives of our people, who are truly our finest asset. It would, of course, similarly endanger our people if we simply wielded a sword of cuts, slicing away the battle proven on the promise of novelty, without regard for what is left behind. Old capabilities are not necessarily redundant, just as new technologies are not always relevant. We must employ both sword and shield. Because of those of us in government charged to defend the country, we have a duty to protect new domains, as well as continuing investment in the traditional ones, but always adapting to the threat, Mr. Speaker. History shows us time and time again that failing to do so risks irrelevance and defeat. As the threat changes, we must change with it, remaining clear-eyed about what capabilities we retire, why we are doing things, and how they will be replaced. The Prime Minister's vision for the UK in 2030 sees a stronger, more secure, prosperous and resilient union, better equipped for a more competitive age as a problem-solving and burden-sharing nation with a global perspective. To become so requires Britain's soft and hard power to be better integrated. In this more competitive age, a golden Britain has no choice but to step up, ready to take on the challenges and shape the opportunities of the years ahead, alongside our allies and friends. Let us be clear, the benefits and institutions of multilateralism, to which we have all become so accustomed, are an extension, not an alternative, for our shared leadership and our hard power. UK diplomacy should work hand in hand with the UK armed forces abroad, and we will invest in our defence diplomacy network in order to strengthen the influence we can bring to bear. And at this point, Mr. Speaker, I wish to pay tribute to all our civil servants in the department and further afield in defence, whose professionalism and dedication is every bit as vital to UK security as all the other component parts of the defence enterprise. Likewise, in the past, we have been too tempted to fund equipment at the expense of our service personnel's lived experience. That is why, in the next 4 years, we will spend £1.5 billion on improving single living accommodation and £1.4 billion on wraparound childcare over the next decade. The government's commitment to spending £188 billion on defence over the coming next 4 years, an increase of £24 billion or 14%, is an investment in the Prime Minister's vision of security and prosperity in 2030. Previous reviews have been overambitious and underfunded, leaving forces that were overstretched and under-equipped. This increased funding offers defence an exciting opportunity to turn our current forces into credible ones, modernising for the threats of the 2020s and beyond, and contributing to national prosperity in the process. It marks a shift from mass mobilisation to information age speed, readiness and relevance for confronting the threats of the future. These principles will guide our doctrine and our force development. The integrated operating concept, published last year, recognises that changes in the information and political environments now impact not just the context but conduct of military operations. The notion of war and peace as binary states have given way to a continuum of conflict, requiring us to prepare our forces for more persistent global engagement and constant campaigning, moving seamlessly from operating to war fighting if that is required. The armed forces, working with the rest of government, must think and act differently. They will no longer be held as a force of last resort, but become a more present and active force around the world. Our forces will still be able to warfight as their primary function, but they also will have a role to play before and after what we traditionally consider as war. Whether that is supporting humanitarian projects, conflict prevention and stabilization, or United Nations peacekeeping. But technological proliferation, Mr. Speaker, use of proxies and adversaries operating below the threshold of open conflict means that the United Kingdom must also play a role in countering such aggressive acts. So the steps to sustaining UK leadership in defence must start with ensuring we are a credible and truly threat-orientated organisation. We must do so in conjunction with our allies and friends. These reforms today will ensure that we continue to meet our NATO commitments on land and enhance our contributions at sea. As the second biggest spender in NATO and a major contributor across all 5 domains, we have a responsibility to support the Alliance's own transformation for this more competitive age. So today I'm setting out in this Defence Command paper the threats we are facing, our operating concept for countering them, and the investments in our forces that are required to deliver the nation's defences. That threat demands that we make the following investments and adjustments to the services. We have been a maritime nation for many, many centuries, Mr. Speaker, and it is vital that we have a Navy that is both global and powerful. The Royal Navy, because of our investment in the Type 26, Type 31 and Type 32, will by the start of next decade have over 20 frigates and destroyers. We will also commission a new multi-role ocean surveillance ship, which will protect the integrity of the UK's maritime zones and undersea critical national infrastructure. We will deploy new automated mine hunting systems, which will replace the Sandown and Hunt classes as they retire through the decade. The interim surface-to-surface guided weapon will replace the Typhoon missile, and we will upgrade the air defence weapon system on our Type 45s to better protect them from new threats. We will invest further to implement the availability of our submarine fleet and start development of the next generation of subsea systems for the 2040s. The Royal Marines will develop from being an amphibious infantry held at readiness to a forward-based, highly capable maritime for future commando force, further enabled by the conversion of a Bay-class landing ship to enable littoral strike. Our land forces have been for too long deprived of investment, and that is why over the next 4 years we will spend £23 billion on their modernisation. The British Army will reorganise into 7 brigade combat teams, 2 heavy, 1 deep strike, 1 air manoeuvre and 2 light, plus a combat aviation brigade. In addition, a newly formed Security Force Assistance Brigade will provide the skills and capabilities to build the capacity of partner nations. In recognition of the growing demand for enhanced assistance and our commitment to delivering resilience to those partners, we will establish an Army Special Operations Brigade built around the 4 battalions of the new Ranger Regiment.
Russian, North
This
Korea,
regiment will be
nuclear
of 1
states.
Royal Scots, 2 Prince of Wales Royal Rifles, 2nd Battalion Duke of Lancs, and 4th Battalion the Rifles. Our adversaries set a premium on rapid deployability, so we will enhance the existing 16 Air Assault Brigade with an additional infantry unit supported by upgraded Apache attack helicopters. Together, they will create a global response force for both crisis
China, threats for China.
The 3rd Division will remain the heart of our warfighting capability, leading in
Warships,
NATO with 2
Pacifics.
modernised heavy brigades. In order to ensure we are more lethal and better protected, they will be built around a modern armoured nucleus of 148 upgraded Challenger 3 tanks, Ajax armoured reconnaissance vehicles, and the accelerated introduction of Boxer armoured personnel carriers. As I have repeatedly said, recent lessons from conflicts in Libya, Syria and the Caucasus have shown the vulnerability of armour. So we will increase both manning and investments in electronic warfare regiments, air defence and uncrewed aerial surveillance systems, all complemented by offensive cyber capabilities. The Army's increased deployability and technological advantage will mean that greater effect can be delivered by fewer people. I've therefore taken the decision to reduce the size of the Army from today's current strength of 76,500 trade-trained personnel to 72,500 by 2025. The Army has not been at its established strength of 82,000 since the middle of last decade. These changes will not require redundancies. We wish to build on the work already done on utilising our reserves to make sure the whole force is better integrated and more productive. There will be no loss of CAT badges, and as I've said earlier, the new structures will require fewer units, and therefore the 2nd Battalion, the Mercian Regiment, will be amalgamated with the 1st Battalion to form a new Boxer-mounted battalion. To administer the new infantry, we will reorganise the regiments to sit in 4 infantry divisions. Each will comprise a more balanced number of battalions, and give the men and women serving in them a wider range of choices and opportunities in pursuing their careers and specialties. In order to ensure that there is a balanced allocation of recruits, we will introduce intelligent recruiting for the infantry, and each division of infantry will initially feed the 4 new Ranger battalions. The final details of these administrative divisions, along with the wider Army restructuring, will be announced before the summer, and no major unit deletions further will be required. Today's Royal Air Force is now deploying world-leading capabilities: P-8, rivet joint, A400M and the latest Typhoons. The F-35, the world's most capable combat aircraft, is now being deployed to frontline squadrons. In recognition of its battle-winning capabilities, we will commit to grow the fleet within 48 aircraft. The E-3D Sentry, 2 generations behind its contemporaries, will be replaced by a more capable fleet of 3 E-7 Wedgetail in 2023. These will be based at RAF Lossiemouth, transforming the United Kingdom early warning and control capabilities, as well as contributing to NATO. As the transport fleet improves availability, we will retire the C-130J Hercules in 2023 after 24 years service. 22 A400Ms alongside the C-17s will provide a more capable and flexible transport fleet. Our counter-terrorism operations are currently supported by 9 Reaper drones, which will be replaced by Protectors in 2024. These new platforms will provide the enhanced strategic ISR and strike capabilities that are so vital for all our forces. All forces evolve, and the increasingly competitive and complex air environment means we must set the foundations now for our 6th generation of fighter. The Typhoon has been a tremendous success for the British aerospace industry, and we will seek to repeat that with £2 billion of investment in the future combat air systems over the next 4 years, alongside further development of the Lanka UCAV system. We will continue to seek further international collaboration. All services recognise the importance of unmanned aerial systems, which is why we'll also develop combat drone swarm technologies. But in order to ensure our current platforms have the necessary protection and lethality, we will also upgrade the Typhoon radar and introduce Spearcat 3 deep strike capabilities. The lessons of current conflict, Mr. Speaker, demonstrate that however capable individual forces may be, they are vulnerable without integration. US Strategic Command will therefore invest $1.5 billion over the next decade to build and sustain a digital backbone, to share and exploit vast amounts of data through the cloud and secure networks. To ensure our workforce are able to exploit new domains and enhance productivity, the Command will invest in synthetics and simulation, providing a step change in our training. The National Cyber Force will lie at the heart of defence and GCHQ's offensive cyber capability and will be based in the northwest of England. Keeping overseas informed of the threat, Mr. Speaker, and ahead of our rivals means that defence intelligence will be at the heart of our enterprise. We will exploit a wider network of advanced surveillance platforms, all classifications of data, and enhance and analysing using artificial intelligence. Strategic Command will partner alongside the RAF to deliver a step change in our space capabilities. From next year, we will start delivering a UK-built intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance satellite constellation. Space is just one area in which the Ministry of Defence will prioritise more than £6.6 billion of research development and experimentation over the next 4 years. These investments in our future battle-winning capabilities will be guided by the Science and Technology Strategy of 2020 and new Defence and Security Industrial Strategy published tomorrow. Our Special Forces are world-leading. We are committed to investing in their cutting-edge capabilities to ensure they retain their excellence in counter-terrorism, while becoming increasingly capable of also countering hostile state activity. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, if this Defence Command paper is anything, it is an honest assessment of what we can do and what we will do. We will ensure defence is threat-focused, modernised and financially sustainable, ready to confront future challenges, seize new opportunities for global Britain, and lay the foundations of a more secure and prosperous United Kingdom. We will, for the first time in decades, match genuine money to credible ambitions. We will retire platforms to make way for new systems and approaches. And we will invest in the most precious commodity of all, the people of our armed forces. To serve my country as a soldier was one of the greatest privileges of my life. Serving to lead, contributing to keeping this country safe, upholding our values, and defending those who cannot defend themselves. Putting yourself in harm's way in the service of your country is something that, fortunately, few of us are ever required to do. But we all have a duty to ensure that those who do so on our behalf are as well prepared and as equipped as well as possible. So the success of this Defence Command paper should not be judged on the sophistication of its words, but on the implementation of its reforms, and ultimately on the delivery of its capabilities into the hands of the men and women of the armed forces. It is they who keep us safe, Mr. Speaker, and will continue to do so in the years ahead. It is to them, their families, and all those across defence that we owe it to make this policy into a reality. The work to do has only just begun.
Well, that was very interesting about the talking about the army. I enjoyed that, what they were talking about. So yeah, and you could see half of the march. You see the march of the army on the TV. I'm going to show you. Just try and move this game out of the way. You can see that. There you go. 170,000 plus army news. There we go. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining me in this video. See you next one, guys and girls. Peace.